So I just want to talk briefly about Alma 32, the Alma 32 analogy of the seed. I really think that this analogy has to cut both ways for it to really be true. And I think that, as human beings, we have the right to try out different beliefs to see if they sprout and take root and are a good seed. As a Mormon, we're taught to believe that anything that goes against the church's current teachings is apostate and not of God. Well, what if I plant a seed and find it sprouting and taking root, but it's not in line with the church? What do I do? Well, of course, I should trust the church, right? The seed is flourishing because the devil maybe is having power over me. But wait, what if this seed that I've planted that's making, against the church or against the teachings of the church makes me feel more whole, more at peace, more loved? I mean, can Satan really be the author of those feelings, and can he sustain them? And if Satan can make me feel peaceful and happy and loved, then how is he the devil? How is he the prince of darkness, And Mormons, there's always an answer. A Mormon person could always say, well, he's deceiving you and making you feel happy. Is he lulling me into carnal security? That would be the rigid LDS answer. But I think that the seed analogy has to cut both ways. It's not fair to say to me that all of my spiritual experiences that have led me to feel connected to Jesus Christ are valid, while all the spiritual experiences that I've had that led me to believe that God accepts me and can easily work with me on my salvation as a gay man are invalid. And that is a double standard, especially when my own heart feels the same way about them. So the next thing I want to say is that I'm with you 100% on that not all things in life should be easy. And you talk about how, how it's just some of the things that could be the most beneficial are not going to be easy. And I totally get where you're coming from with how my video sounds. I mean, I am not suggesting a path of ease or choosing beliefs based solely on the fact that they make my life easier. I believe that sometimes life is difficult, of course, and I sometimes think the hard thing is the right thing. I do, however, feel strongly that one of our basic human rights is to feel that we are loved just as we are, and to know that we have God's blessing no matter who we love. And for me, it's more about your conscience, following your own conscience and what your conscience tells you, than it is about following someone else's idea about what your life should be, especially if that idea is harmful to you. So I'm not choosing to believe I'm a whole person who happens to be gay because it makes my life easier. I'm choosing to believe that because I think it's right. For instance, if I have a terrible temper, I should change that and be more patient. If I'm a jealous person and I gossip frequently, I should change that and be more loving and grateful. If I'm rude and inconsiderate, I should change that and be more kind and empathic. If I'm gay, I should change that and become more straight. I don't know. I mean, that's my question. And as for truth, this idea of truth, I agree with what you're saying. You're saying that if, because I said no one's truth is better than the next person's. And as you said that if someone's truth more closely approximates real truth, then that's better. That this truth, because it's closer to real truth, is better than this truth, depending on what person, And so I agree with you that the truth of a person is more near to the true truth. It would be more valid. I totally agree with that. But the problem is, who gets to be in charge of saying what the real church is, or what the real truth is? Is it the Mormons? Is it the Catholics? Is it the Baptists? Is it Muslims? Is it Jews? Is it communists? Is it, who actually has the authority to say this is the truth? Who gets to say that? And of course, as an LDS person, you'll say, well, the prophet, Jesus Christ. But Muslims will say Muhammad, the prophet, and my religious leaders, they hold the keys to the truth. And they believe it enough to suicide bomb other people and drive, planes, or fly planes into buildings and end their lives and many people's lives based on their truth. That's a very compelling truth for them. So my point is this: if the truth that I have accepted my whole life belittles me, diminishes me as a person, and tries to control my destiny in ways that makes me want to die to commit suicide, then my hunch is it is not as close to the true truth as I once thought. If that makes any sense. I feel like if something is close to the true truth, as you said, that it should quicken me, and it should fill me with life and vitality. It shouldn't put me in a situation where every time I get on an airplane, I wish for the plane to crash. That was my life. I'm not kidding. I wanted to die all the time. And to me, that's not the truth. That's not close to the true truth. The belief that, I deserve to die because I'm gay, that I have to be celibate in order to be loved of God, that made me want to die. And so I chose to stop believing it. And, here's the thing. My dad wrote me a letter, and he said the same thing. He's like, what is going to make you happy in this life? What's going to bring you joy in this life is not necessarily what's going to bring you joy in the next life. And I think joy is such an interesting thing to talk about, and it's a hard thing. And people say this to me frequently. Well, maybe you're feeling content and peaceful now, but you don't have real joy because you left the church. You can't have joy because you've broken your temple covenant. And I feel that there are many things in this life worth fighting for, and to achieve almost anything takes hard work. Like, so I hear where you're coming from 100%, and I can see where it sounds like I'm advocating free love, this life with no boundaries and no restrictions. Just to be clear, I think boundaries, rules, structure are really, really important. And I just can't have someone who is not acting in my best interest setting those rules for me. And unfortunately, I don't think that the church leaders, who, incidentally, I've heard so many times they're very divided on the issue of homosexuality and how to deal with the homosexual members of the church and people who are interested in joining the church who happen to be gay. I'm not 100% sure. In fact, I don't think that they are acting in my best interest. I think that the issue is so charged that they're just sort of frozen and they don't know what to do about it. And so they're just saying, well, just be celibate, and that's just not an answer. The Mormon culture is not a celibate culture. No one in the church is asked to be celibate. People are asked to be chaste until it's time for them to be married to someone that they love and someone that they choose.